Call the meeting to order. Deena will be absent today, so Lisa will be giving the complete financial report, both the industrial tax as well as the financials. So we'll begin with our treasurer.
Okay, you should have received the financial statement balancing report. I did email out the whole financial statement several days ago. So the ending balance for the restricted at the end of July was $15,976,245.31. The non-restricted was $30,357,996.71. A total of $46,234,242.02 was the ending balance for the month of July. Any questions on the financial statement? I also sent out the comparison from this year to last year for review.
Any questions on the financials? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to industrial tax.
So Deena's report she did the numbers through August the 18th, but her July total was $480,121.85. She had the total registered accounts was 2,343, and in parentheses she has 54, so I'm assuming that's 54 new ones. And then the license, she's got $1,850. And then her quarterlies was $466,167.96. The net profits were $12,103.89, and that makes that total for the month. And then she has her comparisons for you to review.
Any questions on the industrial tax report? Okay. Next up will be a matter of old business, is the resolution for the ambulance veterans wrap resolution. I think Jenny's reviewed it and approved it, and everybody should have a copy of it in their packet. So anything specific we need to?
No, this just gives me the authority to open an account for this specifically. It'll still be under the general fund, but it'll have a different bank account. And if this is approved through court, then if anyone wants to give a donation, they need to make sure they put that on their check. That's what this is for. So we make sure we get it in the right account and it's applied correctly. Okay. That's all I ask.
And then, do we have to do anything to let them know that it's not tax deductible? Or do you think they'll be smart enough to figure that out?
I can give them a statement if they want to do that.
It will be tax
We're a
deductible?
government entity.
Oh, okay.
I just need to know in advance.
Oh, okay.
Any questions on it? I assume from, and sometimes it's dangerous, but from the last conversation we had, there was no opposition to this going forward. And since that last meeting, anyone have any issues they want to bring forward about this?
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's an excellent idea.
So that means all of you will be writing a check, I say.
Sure.
Okay.
It might not be as big as yours, but I have no problem writing one.
Oh, you need to look to your left. Anyway.
Just make sure you put what it's for on that check.
So anyone in the community can donate to this. Are there any restrictions as far as, and I'm just kind of reading through it, but any restrictions as to who cannot contribute as far as that goes?
No, okay. Restrictions, just earmark that, but that's what they want that for, and that's where we'll put it.
Okay.
So any interest that's earned on that money will be for that project.
And if we wrap one and we get enough more funds, we'll wrap another one until we, and then, as we all know, at some point in time, they'll have to be dressed up. So there'll be hopefully funds in there to continue it. So
And I think we opted for the 7,000, the cost
Yes, we're not doing a
of
veterans right now
7,000.
on the new one, correct?
That's what I remember.
Yeah, we're not doing
Just
any wraps.
clarifying.
Yeah, we're not doing any wraps right
Yeah,
now until we,
okay.
and then the new ambulances that come in would
Okay.
use this.
Well, it'll be wrapped, it'll be wrapped this way.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
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 So, once we get this set up and if this is approved and we get it all set up, can we get some notification on Facebook and on the website and kind of promote this pretty heavy?
I would hope that our communications officer is on top of that.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a thumbs up from him, so I,
He'll take care of it.
As long as everybody.
Make a
as long as
nice,
they know it's not-
Brian, it would make a nice,
Right, yeah.
little article
Yes.
for the media, press
Well,
release.
I've not been part of the bringing of them in, but I knew we did a nice ceremony with the EMS station. So I asked Mark Peterson for something special. He said no. So I suggested pouring a White Monster Energy. 'Cause that's kind of the flavor going they go with.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
So he didn't think it was funny as I did. But,
that's one thought, Mark. I mean, Brian. I'm
Guess we'll
sure,
remove the
I'm sure
finish.
we'll come up with something different than in the
yeah,
future.
yeah.
Okay, well, without any other discussion, we will move this forward to next
Yes.
Tuesday.
I just, before we move on, I just wanted Fred to clarify so everyone knows that the money spent for the wrap is not coming out of Hardin County budget. It's coming
No, it's
from
donations.
donations. Just want to clarify that because there is some misconception out there among some folks. So that maybe have listened in on this meeting prior.
Well, to re-clarify, the one that's currently getting wrapped is being wrapped. This is for a future project.
Right.
Okay, and this, all right.
Yeah.
We needed to clarify that then. Yeah.
Which technically, when we originally talked about it, we had it budgeted for $10,000, so there was a difference of 3,000 quotes of savings.
And this is for the future, in the
Mhm.
future. Okay.
We could actually, I don't think there'd be an issue about if we got enough money in there to
To do the
soon,
one,
we could pay for it out of this instead of taking it out of the general fund, couldn't
Unwrap and rewrap one.
we? Well,
The other one's already wrapped. The new one's already wrapped.
okay, has it been paid for?
Sure it has,
I-
pretty much. I'm not sure we know.
Better not, to be honest with you.
Well, we
But I
could
mean,
check
we
and
could
see if it's not been
reimburse the
paid for, and
general
if we get money in time, it could be. I'd have to,
It's not a veteran's wrap, Joe.
Yeah,
It was
it's-
just
Yeah,
wrapped.
this is
This
it's
one's for
specifically.
veterans.
for the
Okay.
veterans thing
So
right
it's
now.
Oh,
not-
okay.
Then that,
I'm
okay.
Yeah, we don't want to,
We
I
don't
thought
wanna
you-
muddy the water
No,
here.
no. I thought the one that they were bringing in is gonna be wrapped for veterans.
new.
Okay, all right. My bad.
Okay, what's it wrapped?
Just
in?
like the
Just regular
ones.
Hardin County EMS.
Oh,
Like all the
okay.
other
Okay.
EMS.
So it's not a special
Not an issue.
wrap?
No,
Not yet.
Not yet, it's gonna be.
Okay, all right.
Who's on first,
Well,
what's on second?
Exactly, that's what I want to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just setting this up for
the
our
future.
future purchases.
Mhm.
We've already made this purchase, we've already got it wrapped. We decided, and I don't remember if it was emergency services
Yeah.
or I think it was, or this, but we decided that they did not want to spend the extra for the veterans out of already tight budget. So, and then that's where we came up with the brainchild to come up with
All right.
this to pay for future ambulances so that we are not taking it out of the budget.
Out of the general budget.
Well, I'm
Excellent.
gonna tell you one more step of clarification.
Okay,
Whenever we originally, or when we get them, typically, there is a budget when they build them to have a wrap, and there is a design fee that's already built into it. When we bought this specific one, it didn't have it because it was already just a blank ambulance. So we were buying the ambulance, so we sought other options, and that's where this came up with different bids for it.
That's what,
Normally, it is already built into their package, and the design fee and all those extra fees are already in there. However, since this was just a blank ambulance like you buy from any car lot, there was nothing built in for that, and that's why there was a separate bid for it.
that's where the confusion came in when you were talking about a blank ambulance, okay.
So
And
moving
that's-
forward,
Yeah.
we could wrap them, and they could be cheaper because it's already budgeted for that. Especially since for them, it's there's not a big design difference. This one it would be because it's a third party.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good. That's good that we have clarification on that. Yeah.
can I just clarify one thing
No,
there?
Oh,
You can't buy any ambulance off of just any car.
No, I was an example.
are you through clarifying? Okay. All right, this will be on
Okay.
Tuesday's
One more clear.
agenda. Everyone hear that? It's going to be on Tuesday's agenda.
I'm not
All right.
sure I'm clear on the clarification.
Can you clarify your?
Okay, that's enough. Next item is the further discussion about the CPI on the fire department subscription fees. Has any decision been made? Bonnie, has any decision been made on how that's going to be done?
I hadn't heard any more, except that Jenny, I think, was looking at stuff, but I haven't heard
Any follow-up with her since how long has it been since you talked with her about it?
any. It's just been through emails, maybe a month ago. It would have been, the last time I had talked to her
Yeah.
was whenever I sent you an email. You had some questions. I didn't know if we, unless I missed maybe I missed a meeting somewhere in between.
No, last time, it was brought up in the finance meeting last time, but
That, I didn't know for sure there was going to be changes or not.
in order to get
Some
it,
of the wording is also in the 911 ordinance too. It comes to the CPI, some of it, so it's like you want to change.
have we got maybe a clarification from the DOG as to what since they handle those, have we gotten anything from them, Lisa,
From DLG for what now?
on the CPI? If they had any suggestions on who calculates it now that, since they do the tax rates?
They do the tax rates, but the fire departments are SPGE,
Mhm.
the Special Purpose Government Entity, and I have a cheat note because I always get that backwards. So they're governed over a different office at the Department of Government. And I did reach out to them for some concerns I had for as treasurer. They gave me their suggestion, and I forwarded that on to Jenny about that I could figure the CPI for them, but I shouldn't be the one submitting it for it to go on the tax bills. So how Jenny is going to put that, I do not know. It's been a couple weeks since Jenny and I have spoke about it. She had other things going on. So I did send an email just a little while ago to Miranda to ask her what the deadline is to get the information for the tax bills. What's the final day to get that to them? And I haven't got that back yet from her, which I just did that, so.
I think though that whether the ordinance needs to be changed or not, we still have the responsibility to have the CPI calculated, for the fire departments. So Bonnie's calculated what those are, and we've added the years that we missed the CPI. Okay, so this is kind of a makeup year. And so there's 4 different rates. There's a residential, commercial, farm with residence, structure, and farmland. Okay, so those 4, they were set at 40, 110, 65, and 35. Okay. Now the rates will be for this upcoming is 4 instead of 40, it'll be 43.67. 110 goes up to 120.08. 65 goes up to 70.96. And 35 for farmland goes up to $38.20.
Can you say one more time
Yes,
the first one, 4367 is what?
that's the residential, and that's from 40 to 43.67.
All right.
Okay, the next one's commercial property. That's at $110 with the CPIs for the last 3 years. It goes up to $120.08. For farm with residence or structure, rate was $65, and that goes up to $70.96. Farmland, $35 goes up to $38.20. Okay, so those would be the numbers that we will plan on providing to the clerk at the appropriate time so that they can get it sent out. And then from now on, of course, those numbers will be changed appropriately with the current, with whatever the CPI will be for that year.
Well, if I understand it correctly, the information will be given to the clerk and the clerk gives it to the sheriff's department.
Right.
So if we're gonna do the CPI in-house, then here, what would be the delay in going ahead and getting that information to the clerk?
I don't know that there's any reason why there would be a delay for this year. I think it's two separate things. I mean, we need to get this information so that this can be appropriately handled this year. But there's still discussion with Jenny on what changes to clarify some things in the ordinance so that we make sure we do it appropriately in the future, right? I mean, it's a little bit vague.
It needs to spell out who's gonna do the CPI, basically, what it should have been in the first place.
I think so.
Yeah.
You're just, with these new rates, it's just, and I just, again, for clarification purposes,
Okay.
it's not, you're not making up the difference. The only thing that you are doing is just adding the actual CPI from the last years, right? Adding the CPI that should to get it to
effectively
the,
makes up
yes.
the difference.
Exactly.
Well, it will, but you don't get, we're not making up the difference is what we've already lost. or
There's no
what we didn't get.
retroactive
Yeah.
charge.
There's no,
No retroactive
Yeah,
charge.
correct. That's
It'll
what I
be
was
today's,
verifying.
what's today's.
the rate
it
is
would've
going to be brought
calculated
to
any-
current,
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
but
Which
there
would've
is
been-
no retroactive trying to grab back what
No.
was missing.
No.
I just want to make that good clarification. I want to clarify.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got the timeline for whenever the departments report, so that then we can release the
I think it's,
31st.
31st, it's October 1st.
That is the
It's the
deadline
latest.
that I have to
Yeah.
get my rates to the state.
Right.
That's why I reached out to Brian's office to ask them what's their deadline.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard back, and I'll let y'all know just as soon as she gets back to me, but I'm assuming it's before, right around the October
September,
1st,
October.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that they have to cross-check everything, so, and then get the bills out to everybody, so.
So probably by next meeting, we should have answers on this.
If she's changing the ordinance, it could mean 2 readings, so we may have to. put that in too, so.
But changing the ordinance should change.
It's
No.
respect, I would think. The ordinance would have to be
Starting at
January 1 and
27.
27.
Right, it's not
It
gonna
can't-
affect,
This
No,
rate
that won't affect.
is what was in effect for January of 26.
and she won't be changing anything that will affect the fact that it's CPI unless we want to take the CPI out. But I don't think that was the purpose of changing the ordinance. It was just to clarify, right?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Any more questions on that? Okay. Next up, revisit some old business and regarding the administrative code change that was presented the last meeting on concerning the procurement changes. I had some feedback from some of the magistrates that they did not want to change it.
What part of it did some not want to change? It's really two parts, right? There
Right,
was
the 5 and the 40.
The 5 going up to 10 and
Yeah,
the
they're
40,000,
turned crisscross,
50,000.
Yeah.
so one for each of you, one for the 6 of you.
You already got mine? Oh, that's not.
Okay, so what you have in front of you is the red line policy. That's the second document. It's stapled. And then kind of a step by step what the changes are, because I don't know that I was exceptionally clear last time. I think there was some confusion about the intent and what the multi-layer changes were. So the first change is to increase the bid threshold. KRS changed, updated the bid threshold to 50,000. Our goal was to update our bid threshold where it's at to meet the revenue cabinet, as well as change the language in our administrative code to allow future changes to stay in line with the Kentucky Revenue Cabinet. That is traditionally how that has been done, is when it changes on the state level. We have changed it as well, and that is standard across all fiscal courts. We cannot be more than the bid threshold at the state, but we can be less. However, traditionally it is whatever it is in line with the state. It just makes it cleaner administratively that we keep the same bid thresholds. So that point one is why, kind of where we've been traditionally and why we're asking. I do want to bring a real life example. Here, we have a road project that we're working on, and if we make this administrative code change, we can move forward without having to put a bid out, because it is a repair project that right now is looking to be about $42,000 as an estimate. If we don't, we have to put out the bid. We have to solicit those bids. We know there's only one company in the state that is qualified to do this work, but because the threshold is below 40, we have to extend our timeline, and that includes drafting a contract to take through fiscal court, because it would be a bid, and it would be at least 8 to 10 weeks before we could get started on that bridge. So that is why we're kind of asking to stay in line with what the state is just really a timeline thing. Change number two that we've got in here is to increase the small purchase threshold to $10,000. I understand $10,000 is not a small purchase in anyone's life, but relative to the full scope of our budget, it would be considered a small purchase. It does not, this change does not recur. So if the state changed theirs next year, ours would not change. It would remain the 10,000. If we chose to change it as an entity, I could bring it back and change it. This change doesn't take away the departmental responsibilities, what they are supposed to be doing, the oversight that finance does, or the oversight that you guys do when you approve the claims. That still remains. You still get POs, you still get your monthly reports. None of your oversight changes. It just expands the threshold a little to allow for a little less administrative work on the department head side. 3 is the SBITA. So this is the thing where we kind of got in the weeds last week or last month. Those are subscription-based information technology agreements. Where we're running into a lot of problems, and like Lisa brought one to resources yesterday, that is an annual cost of under $1,000. But because it is a subscription, we have to send it to the county attorney and have the contract vetted. We have to wait and have it put through committee and through fiscal court. If this were a software that we needed immediately, we could not access it. So I've had some conversations with the state auditor's office that allows us to set a threshold for things like that, and as long as we appropriately document it in our administrative code, that these are authorized at the departmental level as small purchases. Now, it is important to think about this. If it were 2004 and we needed a software, I would get in the car and go to Staples and buy the CD for that software and come back, and it would go through as a claim. You would approve it just like any other claim as a small purchase. But because these Sabitas have transitioned to a subscription-based model, it takes away the ability of the department head to appropriately make that purchase without it going through prior channels. So it really doesn't change anything other than rather than going to court before, it'll go to court after. That's the thought there. So I just want to make a few things clear and kind of clarify, I guess. The levels of accountability that are expected from the department heads and the purchasing agents within each department isn't changing. You still have the same amount of budget oversight and audit responsibility. This just gives a $5,000 leeway for a small purchase or a signature for a Sabita. You will still see the same information that you've always seen. You would just see it when the claim is processed rather than when the contract is initiated or the project is initiated. Let's put it that way. So as everything moves to a subscription-based model, I mean, even your TV is a subscription-based model, right? Like, it slows things down to have to jump through the administrative hoops. And I don't know if any of you have had a conversation with county attorney. She did vet this policy and was very much on board with, hey, administratively, that's an administrative function I can get behind. It does not alleviate her having to be involved in anything that's contractual. It just moves the timeline. That's pretty much it. If anybody has any specific questions or needs some clarification, I'd be glad to answer anything you have. If you have any concerns you'd like clarified, I would be glad to address those.
What's the threshold for the Sabitas?
Right now, there's not one at all. Like I said, right now, the Sabitas have to go to court. They are considered a contract because they're a signature agreement. So if we sign one that's $12, $1 a month, it has to go to court right now. So it goes to the county attorney, it comes to committee, it goes to court. It's sometimes a month, sometimes more, depending on the county attorney backlog before we can begin using that software. That's
you?
It
I
will
mean,
be,
you're not
it will be
placing a.
10,000.
Right.
Right there where it says
Right.
guardrails.
All right.
Yeah.
that is in the
If we
proposed
change the
revision.
10,000, yeah.
It would be 10,000.
10,000.
It would be considered a small purchase.
Okay.
And if you choose not to change the small purchase, you want to leave the small purchase at 5,000, but you're okay with making the Sabita change, it would be under 5,000. That's kind of how it's laid out.
With the Sabita, whenever it comes to, and I understand where your position, obviously from all perspectives, but a department head thinks this is a great software, we should use it. They have full authority at that point to purchase it and move forward, right? Because
Depending on the threshold, yes.
up to 10,000, so 9,000, whatever. And sure, it may be budgeted. Let's say they sign it, and then it comes up to where, as fiscal court, we actually don't really necessarily. So what is the
Can I ask you a question?
clarification of that?
And bear in mind, just asking you.
Yeah.
if a department head makes a purchase that you see come through on your claims report, and you say, I don't understand what this purchase is, what is your responsibility as an elected official to question that at that point?
Yeah, so that's
It
what
would
I'm
be
asking
the
now.
exact same thing, because
So-
if Lisa goes out and makes an asinine purchase that you disagree with as an elected official, there are guardrails in place for you to say, hey, I need some details about this purchase, because by the time you see the claims, that purchase has been made. That is part of the administrative code, that we have to have that piece of equipment, paper, monitors, whatever, in our hand before we can pay for it. That's what the administrative code says, and I'm pretty sure that's in statute, that you have to have it in your hand before you pay for it.
Yeah.
So this doesn't change your responsibility or the department head's responsibility, regardless of whether it's a physical piece of paper or an asinine
But I guess
subscription.
by the time we question,
Yeah.
when we see the claims, it's already purchased.
Yes,
So I guess that's our,
literally what I'm asking.
that's
yes.
our,
And I am saying it treats software purchases no different than other small purchases. If there's a small purchase that is made, it is already done by the time you see the claims, whether you agree with it or not. This contract,
So let me just clarify exactly what I'm asking and why I'm asking it this way. So if somebody purchases this, okay, well, we don't have to do it again. That's fine.
Mhm.
But you're signing a subscription, which is continuing.
Mhm.
It's continual. That's my issue. And so that's my question. So what if it comes through and it comes to us and we're like, oh, we actually don't agree with this. Let me take the software from yesterday as an example. It's another threshold. We're like, hey, we don't actually think, for whatever reason, I'm just basic logic here. As a fiscal court, we do not agree with the software. We do not want to continue. It's already been paid for, as we just established, and we don't. What's the ramifications? That's what I'm asking.
as far as canceling it,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna flip this back around on you, because this is what I'm here for. We took a contract to court for some software that doesn't work for what we need it to do. And we didn't figure that out until we were in it. And currently, we're trying to negotiate some software stuff, even though we followed all the protocols. And I cannot tell the future.
Yes.
And if I could, well,
little
no,
But the reason why is we're giving leeway. And again, yes, we can assume we have good department heads at all times, and I would like to think so. However, there are times someone can make a judgment call. This looks good. I like it. It's a contract. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to vet the entire thing.
well, the contract would still be vetted. You're
Well-
missing that point. The contract would still be vetted for legality, because that's the point of it. That part of it's not going to change the legal part of it. And again, and please forgive me, I don't mean to be stepping on toes. These are administrative functions that your department heads who have decades of experience should have the ability to make this call. And right now, they have up to $39,999 worth of physical purchases that they can make without any further approval. So frankly, it is almost insulting that the accusation that, well,
No one's accusing anyone. It's obviously it's a hypothetical of worst case scenario of, and again, I'm gonna pick on him just because he's new to this position, but Michael Stay, he comes in and he goes, hey, obviously I don't feel this way about him, so before there's any accusations, I'm not accusing him.
I heard you say you
I-
dislike them.
Yeah, basically.
let me clarify.
If he chooses moving forward, hey, I don't like how we've been using this software, I want to use this one, signs an agreement.
Mhm.
Even though it's been vetted, that's what I'm asking. Where is it? Because it also did say, you did say it is it is vetted, but let's talk about those things, because as long as that stuff is taken care of, sure, I'm fine. But you also said we're taking it away. It's more administrative. They get to make the decision. So is it still going to go to Jenny?
Yeah.
As brand new. So how do we know that it's been vetted? Because there's times that things come to court and we're like, oh, this looks good. It hasn't been vetted. Nope, hasn't gone to Jenny, right? But we could move forward with something if we don't. So where's the oversight of that? And again, it's not chastising, it's not criticizing, it's not doing anything towards any of our department heads. It's just asking for clarification purposes.
You're just going to have to put full faith and trust in the people who do the job every day. And I mean, that is really what the point is. And again, that is the Sabita change in particular is something that the county attorney and I kind of discussed as do you feel like this would be beneficial before we even started talking about a policy?
And I could see partial if it's a reoccurring, like if there are some that are reoccurring, sure, I could see that. But if it's something new and the threshold's $10,000, and again, I understand $10,000, but if all of our department heads are up to 10,000 multiple times, and I understand we can go back and look at the claims, but just upfront, I'm just trying to figure out upfront where is our protection to make sure. Again, I'm not saying that all of our department heads
want. You are looking at your protection to make sure. You guys put this budget, you voted on this budget, you went line by line by line and said, this is something I want, this is something I don't. So that is where you got in the weeds and practiced your legal administrative oversight. That is what you all did. That's how you control that.
So that's where you can control it in the future. If it's a reoccurring one and you want to ask those questions about those contracts to see if it's something that's being utilized to, in the favor of those departments, that would be your time. Because there's always a 30-day, 60-day out of contracts.
I mean,
that's the only thing I can.
Ultimately, it's up to you guys. You do control the budget. You put that budget down, and then it is on us to make sure that it stays within the thresholds. But, there's a lot of thresholds and a lot of things that guide how the budget is managed beyond it going to you. We have a set of audit standards from the state auditor's office. We have a set of standards from the Department of Local Government. We have our own administrative code that tells us what we're going to do. We have, and you can talk to any department head and tell them, has Sarah ever told you no? And they're going to say all the time, because Sarah's mean. But I know what the rules are. We have enough segregation of duties and financial oversight, both on the management team and in the finance office, that if something is even slightly questionable, it does not get done. So, I mean, we have years of clean audits, and that's really all the proof you need that we are doing the things we say that we are doing. So these kind of things are strictly administrative.
I think all the illustrations you gave were spot on. And I believe if we'd had this discussion the first time around, instead of getting it and then pushed to court before we had time to really have this discussion, maybe it would not have had so much muddy water to try to wade through. So, I had questions the first time too. You've answered most of my questions, and I appreciate it. You even got down to where you went to Staples. That's the kind of clarity I need. So, I don't know about. I think the committee's
right, and there's no timeline on this. If you guys want to wait and we can think about it, bring it back next month, that's fine. It just delays sort of the process.
I've never heard of
big headache with any of it. I mean, maybe y'all, because y'all deal with it all the time, but I haven't heard department heads complain that their projects are behind because of having to do this.
We hear it. We hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Heard one
A
this
lot of
morning.
times, Especially
Internally.
with these subscription agreements, they may give it to you 30 days in advance. Well, when is that next committee meeting? Jenny needs 2 or 3 weeks to look over stuff, and if it's brand new, it's like 4 weeks. So there's all those bottlenecks. I mean, we're lucky if we can get anything through here in 60 days.
Right.
And that's small stuff and large stuff.
So could we leave it at 40,000, change the other to 5,000 and
Yeah, I mean, you guys can
compromise?
discuss and choose and
The
change.
50,000 really is in response to inflation.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not really trying to open up the gates here. It's inflation. It's responding to that. As a matter of fact, going forward, I think, correct me, the KRS is taking that in consideration in the future rather than just going,
The KRS
In
is
twenty
set,
thirty, it'll
yeah,
go up
to
5,000.
update every
I
5
guess-
years
Why
out.
don't they do a CPI like everything else? I
You
mean,
know,
Because somebody would have to figure it and put it into law. I mean, really, if you want the answer.
I mean, I think $40,000 is a pretty good sized purchase, but just when we was looking at claims a few months back, look on there and we bought a vehicle. What?
Actually, it's gonna increase 10,000, I'm sorry.
You know, and I didn't know we needed a vehicle, didn't know we was buying a vehicle. I
It
mean,
was in the budget. It was in the
But-
budget.
but we
In the
didn't
vehicle line.
talk, yeah, I mean,
In the vehicle line, it was in the
Yeah.
budget.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Aaron's spot on in bringing the discussion the way he's brought it, because it's got us down to the level to where we need to understand what's going on. It's our responsibility when it comes budget time, to Sarah's point. We did it the last time. We got down to, $1,000 even.
Right.
So this time, everybody that sits on that court, you know what your responsibilities are now. This will drive us to make sure that we go through line by line. And I would not expect anybody in this administration or anyone to complain about the magistrates going forward. We'll go line by line until we get our budget discussions done. So it's really opened my eyes as to what additional responsibilities we have as far as the budget goes, even down to the subscription level.
Sarah, I do want to say, obviously, I trust every department we currently have. But let's just say you get a job offer to go somewhere else, Lisa gets it, and it's somebody new, right? And you've got to, in my mind, you have to pretend that you have the worst of the worst devil's advocate. Who, we don't have the oversight that you all, currently have, right? What happens at that point? What kind of legal ramifications are we going to get in if we sign up to a subscription? That's where I'm coming from, is what fail-proof safes do we have to make sure we do not get in trouble?
Can I
That's it.
use the word for you? Immaterial, which is not something that anybody who does accounting all day likes to hear. When we sit down and we do the financial reports or we do something, we are doing it to the penny. You're not going to see any lost pennies or anything. That is not who we are. In the audit world, because it's based on a percentage of your total budget, they refer to $50,000 as being immaterial. So, yeah, which freaks me out as a person. But there's nothing that says that Lisa and I don't hit the lottery and run off to Hawaii.
Mhm.
That's our plan. You'll never hear from us again. But there's nothing that says that your department heads aren't there making bad calls right now that we don't catch, that they catch in the audit. And we as an entity make every single effort to ensure that we have a clean audit. Like, that is the thing. This is the fiscal court. Fiscal means money. It comes through our office. We bend over backwards to make sure that we are following the letter of the law. But that does not mean that there have not been some instances that have slipped by that we have gotten right now, because we are people doing a people's job. But when you are so hyper focused on this $5,000 or $10,000 subscription, you might be missing this other thing over here. And I get what you're saying. You trust me, you trust Lisa, you trust Mark over there, but what if Mark and Lisa and I split, and then what are you gonna do? I can't tell the future. This small purchase isn't gonna change the complete oversight at all. And like I said,
And I don't think last time we knew Jenny's stance, and so, you know, if she is in agreement, if she's good with it, then that makes more sense, because she's the one that's gotta defend it.
right, yes,
So,
actually. when it comes-
In worst case, back to your question of worst case, if there was a purchase that was made that just thought was terrible, you know, worst case in this what we have, it wouldn't be more than $10,000. Worst case scenario, $10,000 that we lose, but almost always, especially on software, you've got 30 days, 60 days to reverse, to reverse it. So it's not like we're just going to lose that money, whether it's $5,000 or $10,000. So the risk really isn't there. There's so many, and like Sarah was saying, we've got so many levels of checks that I think we've got, a really good system in place.
There's room for mistakes and error and bad actors in every department, really, and everything we do, not just in purchasing. But fortunately, this government from years and years and years has had very little of any incidents at all that's happened. So I'm to the point now, I think, unless you guys have some more questions, and
One thing, so I'd be concerned about putting it in the administrative code to automatically follow if the state's gonna go up 10,000 every 5 years, that's gonna jump up quite a bit.
okay.
So you want to make that decision when it happens, basically.
I mean, I'd be more
No,
comfortable with that,
Oh, sorry.
leaving it out of changing it to the administrative code to change it, yeah,
To automatically go with the.
right, yeah, not automatically go with,
Just on an annual approval.
right, cause I could see that, I mean, you're talking
You
about
could
10
balloon.
years, that's
You could
20
balloon.
grand, so
Yeah.
that's,
Is that what it says? It goes up 10,000?
Mhm.
what he just showed me,
Yes,
10,000
that's
every
the
5
way
years.
payroll is
5
written.
years.
Yeah.
Starting in 2030. So in 2030, it'll go up 10.
Okay.
And then from there on, every 5 years, it'll go up another
If you think
10.
about inflation, it's probably far
Right,
off,
and
but-
just to clarify, that's pretty much how it's changed the past. It went to 30
yeah.
in 19, I believe, and prior to that, it had been 20 for a long time.
And we may have no issue with it come time. I would just, rather than something automatically do it, much rather. I know it's a little more hassle.
Well, it would just, now that we have worked through it and understand what we're doing, at least from my standpoint, I think an annual review of it, it gives us, that's another layer of oversight. We can be more cognizant of it when it comes time to talk about it next year, and rather than changing the
So
administrative
probably it
code.
would be 2030 before we
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
we'd have to look at it again then, whoever's here.
Just strike that bullet
Yeah.
point off, and
So,
that
Is-
second
just
bullet
so I
point.
can clarify what your intent is here. I did.
And Sarah, just leave out the automatic increase.
Right.
Just strike that out.
I just want to clarify, you intend 50,000 this time, taking out the automatic increase, correct?
Yes, that's what I'm hearing. Everybody good with that?
I'm good with
Yes.
that.
I would leave it 40, but
Consensus is to move forward with the change to 50 and we'll strike. Okay. We'll move that forward to Tuesday then.
That was gonna be my next question. Okay, the 10,000, are you content to move it to the 10, or you want to leave it at the 5?
I think they said that was the only change they were.
Yeah? And you're okay with
Y'all understand that?
the clause about the Sabitas? Yes?
Okay. All right.
I will fix that and get that to you. Fred.
Thank you. Appreciate the clarity.
I'm gonna strike clarity out. Clarification out of our vocabulary.
No, we're not.
Well, that was a good exercise in clarification there. I'll add something to it. All right, the next order of business, Judge Taul, your tax rate proposal.
Yes, I'm gonna turn it over to Lisa. And let her run through it.
That's right. Basically the same format that we had last year, maybe the year before too, but, so the, kind of give you a little bit of history of the tax rate calculation. Tax rates are set annually and governed by the KRS. This does not include the schools, city rates, are levied by their governing bodies. It tells the KRS that we have to have a public hearing. It has to be advertised in 2 consecutive weeks, and I've already started that process. The county PVA sends the assessment information to the Department of Revenue, and the Department of Revenue certifies the assessment and sends it to the Department for Local Government, which is DLG. DLG calculates the compensating and the 4% real property rates and emails information to the county. County has 45 days from the date of the Department of Revenue certification to set and calculate the real and personal rates. The next page is the timeline. Our tax rolls were certified on August the 3rd. The first ad for the public hearing was in this past Sunday's paper. We're having our committee today. The next ad will be in this next Sunday's paper, or Saturday, I'm sorry, it's a Saturday paper now. And in hopes to do that public hearing on September the 8th, where you all will be voting on those tax rates. So how the tax rates are calculated, DLG sends us the letter where they incorporate all of the assessments and they calculate a compensating rate. Compensating rate generates approximately the same revenue as the previous year, exclusive of the new property. They will calculate a 4% rate increase. This generates a 4% more revenue than the compensating. Any rate above the 4% is subject to recall. DLG's property rate calculation worksheet, all that was sent out to you all in an email showing what they calculated. If we decided just to do the compensating rate, we wouldn't have to have the hearing process. And when it's calculated, it's rounded up to the next higher 1/10 of 1 cent. The 4% rate requires the hearing process. It's rounded down to the next 1/10 of 1 cent. The revenue calculation comparison, it shows what the compensating for the real estate amount is, the 4%, and the difference between the two. The tangible also. So basically what this is saying is when we take the 4% over the compensating, it's going to net us $472,853. We have based the budget on the 4% rate. And these numbers are based on 100% collection by the sheriff's office and not adjusting for their fee that they receive for collecting the taxes for us. So then the last slide shows the budget revenue comparison, what we guesstimated at budget time versus what the 4% would be and what the compensating. And this is adjusting it for the collection rate and giving the sheriff's department their collection fees. So even with those numbers, if we do the 4%, we would be 104,000 to the positive. And if we did the compensating, we'd be 331 in arrears. So the next document that
Hey, Lisa.
I'm
just
sorry, yes.
One change on, there's not slide numbers on this, but the revenue calculation comparison. Aaron was just showing me that there was the subtraction of 4% and compensating. It says it's $410,000 change. It should be 419,000 change. It's just a
Okay.
subtraction error.
May have transposed those numbers.
So just for your all's information, that on this page right here,
Yeah, you said the bottom was 419.
Mhm.
419,831 is the. It's close, but it's. Sorry.
Program, didn't you?
Yeah. So the next is the resolution giving the tax rate, the real estate tax rate at 10.7, and the personal property tax rate would be 12.3, which does not change from last year. And our motor vehicle and watercraft tax is 11.5, and that's what it's been for years. And then it just has the statement about our industrial taxing district taxes. So this would be on September 8th's agenda. Any questions?
So Judge, your recommendation, 4% increase?
Yes, sir.
Any discussion of the magistrates? Everybody looking down? No response?
That's kind of what it does when we're
Okay.
talking about the budget.
No opposition to move it forward then? All right, we'll move it forward to September 8th.
Do that now?
Required for the budget.
Well, look at it.
I think we talked about it.
Other
Extensively.
than we are coming,
County and the tax rate actually goes down.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be that way if we went.
other than in budget time, we figured it was gonna bring us in a certain amount, and it's actually gonna bring us in 104,000 more than what we thought.
Well, that's a pretty good calculation.
Yeah.
Close.
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 In budget time, we only have, the amount of real property added. We don't have the tangible property. We also don't have the real property when it comes to the public services. You know, we only have one limit, one amount, and then we estimate the same as last year for the others. And then by the time they come to May 15th, where people protested or they might have added something. So you have those changes too, so.
All those variables in
So,
there, that's
yeah,
pretty
there's a
darn,
lot.
that's pretty darn close.
And again, for clarification, for folks that may be watching this later on, when you say 4%, it's 4% of the increase of the compensating rate. It's not 4% increase in your taxes.
No.
And every year, somebody goes out there and gets that mixed up. So please keep that in mind. All right. Pardon me?
What was last year's rate again?
10.8.
And the reason that you can get a lower rate and more revenues because of our, as the judge said, our evaluation of our properties and stuff just keeps going up. And so it's a good thing and a bad thing.
Well, with new properties too.
Right, and
properties.
new
Quite a bit of
additional
new
properties,
property,
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, a lot.
And we've got a lot of that going on. Well, that takes care of the agenda items. Any additional questions on anything we've had on the agenda? Okay, if not, we are adjourned at 4:29.